Hi everybody, welcome to Iowa in the middle of the winter. I'm Dan Haggarty, and I was Jack's companion on the trip, the original trip, and to the Soviet Union. We never called it Russia because it wasn't Russia then, but I just wanted to I just want to make clear that I had a minor, not a minor, but a major head injury a couple years ago from my bicycle trip. And I have some speech problems, but you may not notice it, so a lot of ahs, but there's so I probably won't talk too long, and that's good for everybody. But anyway, Jack and I, we met back in Stanwood, Washington, Tomato Island, and it was, Jack was probably most responsible for me having an art show there and for having gone to Russia and or Soviet Union. But we I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah, I gotta cut. My problem is that I can't.
That's fine. Just if you want to stop, I mean, he'll know when to cut it out of everything. So I can just stop and gain thought, figure out where you want to go with the next spot.
Yeah.
You don't just have to keep rolling just because we're rolling.
Right, that's another problem for me.
That's fine.
Okay, let me just. Where do I want to go?
I need you to clap. It'll get just one clap. There you go.
Hello, this is Dan Haggerty from the frozen Iowa at this time. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the parts of our Russian trip, the original trip that Jack and I went on, and not be too embellishing about it. But there is. I don't know if anybody remembers me, but I had just a head injury from a bicycle accident a couple of years ago, and sometimes my speech problems are evident, so I've more or less cured everything, but it just is not always good. But I just and my nephew Ben is behind the camera, and he is going to ask me a series of questions that that Jack wrote. Jack wrote these questions, but I do want to talk about a number of other things that I remember from our trip to Siberia and in the Soviet Union. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. Let's start with the first question.
Can you play this while you're asking the question?
Yeah, I can play it.
Okay.
Like it's recording right now?
You should record your voice.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's recording right now.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So, tell us your best stories, Barbie Miracle, Siberian Rest Home, and any others.
Okay, now this is, these are my favorite stories that happened when Jack and I got to Novosibirsk, or the academic town near it. We were in kind of a guest apartment, and I met this American woman, and she was a teacher of girls, and she told me that she had a Barbie doll club, which is for the girls. There were 12 girls in the club, and they met once a week, and they drew pictures of Barbie, they did everything they could, but the point was that they didn't have a Barbie, that no one had one. And so it was the oddest thing, because I had one in my suitcase that I brought over, and my stepgirl Jenny gave it to me to be a present to another kid when I went. But so I actually had the Barbie, and these girls thought that I was almost like Moses, coming down from the mountain. It was the oddest thing I've ever seen. And it wasn't even a great Barbie, it was just a regular American Barbie doll. So it's just one of the things I like to point out about that was, despite the fact that most of the people we stayed with and had dinners with and knew were not only a lot of them were doctors and academics and professors, but they were, in our terms, very, very poor. So that there was no. Now, today that's all changed. You can probably go there and find 2 million Barbies in Novosibirsk, but there was, at one time, I just happened to have the only one in town. And then the one thing I also did that most people like this story, but it's I came over there. When I got there, we were asked what we wanted to do, and on the side, what speak to students, do this, do that. We were definitely celebrities before we even realized we were, because of the powers that be, they. But I wanted to go. What I wanted to do was to go to a nursing home, and I had been working for a while in a nursing home back in Stanwood. Josephine, I can't remember the name, Josephine Home, or in Stanwood, and they, and I was just interested. I'd gotten into, really gotten into geriatrics as a kind of a science, and I wanted to know what they had, what they looked like, and everybody told me, no, you can't do that. You can't go to nursing home. No problem. No way of doing that. Finally, about 2 days or a day before we left for good, a little short bus came out and picked me up and it was 2 women from the nursing home, and I got to go, and it was there were at least 2,500 patients. Most nursing homes were run by the state, by the government, and the women, they were all women, and they were all in this home because their fathers, brothers, and husbands were all killed in World War II. So they got this extra nursing home. It was a little bit better than others that I never saw, but they gave me a tour. They gave me it was about 20 miles out in the country, and on this little bus, and they gave me a white coat to wear like I was some big deal, and there was everybody. First of all, my first impression was there was no wheelchairs, and then they told me, the translation was hard to understand, but they told me that if you could not walk anymore, you had to go to they called it the hall of lying down. Means you had to lay down. There was no, and there were, hundreds of those people in that hallway. But they all knew I was there, and they all were giving me applause and things like that. It was really odd. One of the hardest things I ever did. But they showed me they had they actually didn't have exercise equipment, but they had they did a lot of what are they, tumbling and gymnastics on bars and things like that. And many of these people were well into their 90s, and so it was just really one of my favorite parts of the whole trip was this nursing home. And I brought from our nursing home, I brought a lot of ointments and antibiotics and fingernail clippers were the most celebrated one that I bought. But it was something that I can't ever forget, because it was first of all, I was just a superstar to these old people that just kept, every time you walked by they applauded. You know, that was the oddest thing. And you I had no medical training or whatever. I was just, they had never really had an American there, so that was the gist of it. And remember that people in this area are not really European in the sense. They're more Asian European. It's a different set of people, you know. But anyway, thank you for letting me go to the nursing home. That was my favorite.
All right.
All right. Now, did that make?
Clap real quick. All right, that's good. All right, you're good for whenever.
Okay, one more treat, Jack. There's your poster, and I find it ironic that you didn't get one of these before. But I've had this almost the whole 30 years, and not 30 years, but quite a long time. And there's Jack Gunter in red, and Daniel Haggarty in red. And I had a Russian student up at UNI translate most of this, but the gallery, art gallery, Novosibirsk, Russia, is that right? Yeah. And then the CWA at the very bottom means USA. So we were identified as Americans. And anyway, I all this was folded over one of my paintings, and so it's all full of cracks and everything. But the people did a great job putting it together.
Sweet.
All right.